Man, the saddest end to a movie ain't even sad on the surface. The saddest end is this movie that was for Bruce Lee. I think it's called Dragon, a true Bruce Lee story. And in the movie, Bruce Lee believes that there's like this hate or this curse on the family that follows them. And it's like the Grim Reaper, but it's a samurai. So he dreaming and the samurai pops up and he fighting the samurai, whatever the case may be. And then the samurai turns around towards his son and he go, Brandon! And he started going crazy, right? Doing the nunchucks on him, beating him down, whatever the case may be. And then he finally beat him. And you know the story of Bruce Lee. As the story progresses, it say all the stuff that he did and unfortunately he died. The saddest part of that is at the end of the movie it say, dedicated to Brandon Lee. Man, that's a sad end, bro, because what's messed up about it is you know the story of Bruce Lee, right? And whoever put the part in there with the samurai coming after both of them was crazy. That was a crazy little additive that they put in there in addition to the movie because Brandon Lee passed away too. And that movie came out just in time for them to dedicate it to both of them, Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee. Right? That was messed up. Because he was fighting crazy for that. Yeah, and in the new JFK Jr. series, him and Carolyn, they got JFK Jr., he riding in the car, right? He look out the window and he see a little boy that was dressed like how he was for the funeral of his dad. And he waving at him. Man, I used to love little Easter eggs about mortality, about somebody's end or whatever the case may be, because even though I don't think that happens in real life, it's messed up because life just ends, you know what I mean? And you kind of think, you try to kind of put, maybe the person knew that it was going to die or whatever the case may be. Most of the time, they ain't know. Feel what I'm saying? You can have a feeling, but you can have a feeling on any day, right? You can have a feeling that you're going to get in a car accident. You don't get in a car accident, or you might get in a car accident. You know, life is unexpected. It's crazy, but I used to love movies like that. I used to love Set It Off and Boys in the Hood, and when they go back and do the flashback. Yeah, but people talk about Griffith and all the stuff that he did, but we got to take it back to what Griffith is really doing and what his whole purpose was. You got to remember, Griffith was part of a middle class, low tier people, and he wanted to be up. That was his whole thing. And I feel like in a perfect world, you would have everybody had their own farm, they had their own fruit, they had their own house. But when you divide people into sections and the sections of status and things like that, and you treat each people worse, you treat this person low and low, and then you have like this stigma to the people that's up higher than you, like they're special, they're important. So this creates somebody that'll be like, I want to be up there too, or why can't I be up there? And then remember, it's kind of like a caste, where you know in the caste, wherever you born at is where you stay at. So that's how Griffith thought, you know what I mean? That's how they put Griffith. That's where Griffith had to stay. And if you're a minority, you understand this more than anybody, especially if you're a black man trying to get into certain places that you can't get into. For example, NASCAR. If you ain't got no money or no connections, bro, you ain't getting into that bitch, right? It's very hard, extremely hard. And if you go on forums and ask how you can do it, they'll be like, well, you had to be racist since you were a little kid. You got to have money, have connections. They know you trying to get into that bitch. They just don't like the fact that you're a nigga. And they're going to be like, man, you can't get in this shit, nigga. This is for us, right? You see how they do Bubba Wallace, and that motherfucker almost look white. You know what I mean? But they know that he black. And they still treat that nigga like shit. So if I can make a school or have some money to fund a team, whatever the case may be, and get some niggas from the street and like take over that bitch. You know what I mean? Black people could take over NASCAR because it's a lot of black people that get in trouble for illegal street racing. A lot of black people love working on cars and racing and doing all kinds of shit, but they do it the illegal way. You know what I'm saying? Man, black men love working on cars and racing and things like that. A lot of black men have a lot of knowledge on cars, speed, and all kind of stuff, yet they don't have no outlet to go to. You know what I mean? Or it's very hard for them to get into it because it's about expenses. It's about connections. And they know that. They know. So that's another part of systemic racism that people say, well, give me an example. Give me an example of systemic racism. It sounds like you're making excuses. That's one example. That's a place that you can't get into, that you ain't supposed to really get into, because black people don't have the expenses. They wasn't born into it. Like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, that was a bad boy. And they had problems with Tiger Woods too because he was black. But they was like, shit, we can't beat him, join him. But that's why when he cheated, they made a big deal out of that motherfucker. That was white media that did Tiger Woods like that. You thought Tiger Woods was a goddamn killer. cheating on his wife. Man, they put that shit all on the news because they needed something to bring him down, make people see him as low.